Nobody tells you this when you are young, but the education system was never designed to make you financially free. It was designed to make you obedient. Think about it. Most people spend nearly 15 years in school. They learn algebra, history, chemistry, geography, but after all those years, almost nobody graduates understanding how money works, how taxes work, how investing works, how debt traps people, how wealth is actually created. And because of that, millions of intelligent people enter adulthood completely unprepared for the real financial world. They know how to pass exams, but not how to build freedom. And that may be the most expensive lesson society never teaches. From childhood, people are trained to follow instructions, sit down, be quiet, memorize information, repeat the correct answers, obey authority. And if you do all of that correctly, you are rewarded with grades. But real life does not reward memorization. Real life rewards value, problem solving, communication, risk-taking, creativity, financial intelligence. Yet schools rarely focus on those things because the modern education system was originally built during the industrial era. Factories needed workers, companies needed employees, governments needed obedient citizens. The goal was not to create financially independent thinkers. The goal was to create reliable workers, people trained to show up on time, follow rules, and work inside systems built by someone else. And even today, most schools still follow that exact model. Students are prepared for employment, not ownership. That is why so many people spend their entire lives working for money instead of learning how to make money work for them. Think about this carefully. A teenager can graduate from school without ever learning how credit cards really work, how interest silently destroys wealth, how investing compounds money, how businesses generate income, how taxes affect financial freedom, how inflation slowly makes savings lose value. These are not small topics. These are survival skills, yet society treats them as optional. Meanwhile, people are taught subjects they may never use again for the rest of their lives. And then adulthood arrives. Bills appear, debt appears, financial appears. And suddenly people realize nobody prepared them for reality. Most people believe the path to success is simple. Get good grades, get a degree, find a stable job, work hard, and eventually life will become financially secure. But for millions of people, that promise never arrives because the world changed. College costs exploded. Housing became unaffordable. Inflation rose faster than wages, and stable jobs became less stable every year. Yet schools still teach students as if it were 1985. Most people are never taught how money actually behaves. Money flows toward assets, toward ownership, toward leverage. The wealthy understand this early. That is why rich families often stay rich for generations, because financial education is passed down privately. While the average person learns about money mostly through struggle, the wealthy teach their children about investing, assets, business ownership, cash flow, taxes. Meanwhile, most middle-class families teach survival. Save money, avoid risk, get a safe job. But safety alone rarely creates wealth. In fact, sometimes the obsession with safety becomes the very thing that keeps people financially trapped, because real wealth often requires uncertainty, starting businesses, buying investments, taking calculated risks, learning skills outside traditional systems. But schools rarely encourage independent thinking. They reward conformity. The student who obeys rules usually succeeds academically. The student who questions systems is often seen as difficult. And this mindset follows people into adulthood. Most workers are afraid to negotiate salaries, afraid to invest, afraid to start businesses, afraid to fail publicly, because from childhood, failure was treated like punishment. In school, mistakes lower your grade. In real life, mistakes often create growth. Most successful entrepreneurs failed multiple times. Most wealthy investors lost money at some point. Failure is part of financial education. But traditional education teaches people to fear mistakes instead of learning from them. And fear becomes expensive. People avoid opportunities because they are afraid of losing. Meanwhile, Inflation quietly steals purchasing power every single year. This is another thing schools rarely explain properly. Saving money alone is not enough anymore. A dollar today will likely buy less tomorrow. You are slowly becoming poorer without realizing it. The wealthy understand this deeply. That is why they invest stocks, businesses, real estate assets that grow faster than inflation. Meanwhile, most people keep their money sitting still, believing that safety equals security. But sometimes what feels safe is actually dangerous long term. The education system also trains people to trade time for money, study for years, get credentials, then sell your time through employment. But wealthy people understand leverage. They understand systems. They understand ownership. A business owner can earn money from the work of many people. An investor can make money while sleeping. A creator can earn from content repeatedly. An author can earn royalties for years. That is leverage, and leverage changes lives. But schools rarely explain it because the system mostly prepares people to become workers inside existing structures, not owners of new ones. And the scary part is technology is changing everything even faster now. Artificial intelligence is replacing jobs. Abstraction is reducing traditional work. Entire industries are evolving, but most schools still teach outdated models designed for the last century. Students memorize information that can now be found instantly online. Meanwhile, critical thinking, financial literacy, communication skills, digital leverage, these are becoming more valuable than ever before. Yet many educational systems still move slowly, and students pay the price later. One of the biggest financial traps in modern society is student debt. Young people are told that college guarantees success. So they borrow massive amounts of money before they fully understand careers, before they understand financial consequences, and many graduate carrying debt for decades. Some never financially recover. Now, does this mean education is useless? No. Education is extremely powerful, but there is a huge difference between schooling and education. School gives information. Real education changes behavior. Real education teaches people how the world actually works, how money moves, how psychology affects decisions, how wealth compounds slowly over time, how emotional spending destroys futures, how discipline creates freedom. And today, financial education is more accessible than ever before. Books, podcasts, videos, courses, mentors. Information is everywhere, but most people still never study money seriously, which is strange because money affects almost every part of life: stress, relationships, freedom, health opportunities. Yet many people spend more time choosing entertainment than learning financial skills, and the cost of ignorance becomes enormous over time. A person who understands investing early may become financially free decades sooner than someone who never learns it. A person who understands debt avoids financial traps. A person who understands business can create opportunities instead of waiting for them. Financial knowledge changes the direction of entire lives. And perhaps that is why it is so powerful. Because once people understand money deeply, they become harder to control. A financially desperate population is easier to manipulate. People trapped paycheck to paycheck cannot easily take risks, cannot easily walk away from toxic jobs, cannot easily challenge systems. Financial freedom creates independence, and independent thinkers are difficult to control. That is why true financial education feels almost revolutionary. It changes how people see the world. Suddenly, people stop chasing status symbols, stop buying things to impress strangers, stop believing that working harder automatically creates wealth. Instead, they begin focusing on ownership skills, investing for freedom, long-term thinking, and slowly their entire mindset changes. Most people spend years trying to increase income without increasing financial intelligence, but income without knowledge often disappears quickly. Professional athletes have gone broke. Lottery winners have gone broke. Celebrities have gone broke. Why? Because earning money and managing money are completely different skills. Schools rarely explain that. And because of that, many people increase their lifestyle faster than they increase their wealth. More income, more expenses, more debt, more pressure. This cycle traps millions of people for life. The wealthy often do the opposite. As income grows, they buy more assets, more investments, more ownership, and over time, those assets begin producing income on their own. That is how real wealth compounds. Quietly, slowly, over decades, not overnight. And that is another dangerous lie society sells. People are taught to chase quick success, fast money, instant results. But real wealth usually requires patience, consistency, discipline, long-term thinking, things modern culture rarely promotes. Social media makes this even harder. People constantly compare themselves to unrealistic lifestyles online, luxury cars, dot and Sarah clothes, private jets, and many people go into debt trying to imitate appearances they cannot afford. But real wealth is often invisible. Real wealth is not showing off. Real wealth is control over your time, control over your decisions, control over your future. And unfortunately, most schools never teach students how to achieve that. Imagine if students learned financial literacy from a young age. Imagine if teenagers understood investing before adulthood. Imagine if students graduated understanding taxes, debt, budgeting, and entrepreneurship. Entire generations could change financially. Families could escape cycles of poverty, stress levels could decrease, opportunities could expand. But instead, most people are forced to learn money through a painful experience, credit card mistakes, bad loans, card mistakes, bad loans, financial stress, economic hardship. And by the time many finally understand money, years have already been lost. But here is the good news. Financial education can start at any age. It is never too late to learn how money works. Never too late to begin investing. Never too late to build skills. Never too late to change direction. Because wealth is not only about intelligence, it is about behavior. Habits, patience, discipline, long-term decisions, and small financial choices repeated consistently can completely transform a person's future. The people who become financially successful are not always the smartest people in the room. Often they are simply the people who understand money differently. They understand that income matters, but ownership matters more. They understand that looking rich and being rich are completely different things. They understand that freedom matters more than status. And once you truly understand that, the entire world begins to look different. You stop blindly following traditional advice. You begin studying how wealth is actually built. And slowly, you stop being controlled by money, because the truth is, schools may teach you how to work for someone else, but financial education teaches you how to build freedom for yourself. And in today's world, that knowledge may be more valuable than ever before. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more content about financial psychology, investing, wealth building, and escaping the middle class trap. And remember, the most dangerous thing about the education system is not what it teaches, it is what it never teaches at all.